Wagwan, welcome to my channel, Irie Yank. Irie Yank is the name of my business that I started back in 2018 or 2019. It started with me selling shea butter that I would make. I had a coworker who loved the way that my shea butter would smell, and I would always give her some. And she was like, "Oh, can I buy some off of you?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And then it just, it kind of took off. And then I started, offering other things that I would make for myself. Everything that I would use in my life, I would just make, and people wanted to buy it because they would see me using it. They see the lifestyle I was living, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm about that too." So, it started with shea butter. It went to bug spray, natural bug spray repellent. And then, because I was working in vegan kitchens, plant-based kitchens, I eventually went over to doing baked goods, making infused baked goods. And then, life got chaotic and I took a little break, and I kind of just had like a rebirth. And even though I still feel very strongly attached to Irie Yank, I definitely made this decision to make sure it was a lifestyle brand. Actually, it's always been a lifestyle brand, but it has different focal points depending on where I'm at in my life. So, sometimes you're going to get astrology content. Sometimes you're going to get cooking content. Sometimes you're going to get spiritual transformation content, relationships, life. It's all encompassing. It's very hodgepodge. It's no niche. You feel me? So if you feel like you don't want to just have a space where it's only one thing specifically and it's just all encompassing, welcome. This is what we do here. And I will have to be honest, I have to be transparent. It took me a while to actually really be devoted to the whole YouTube thing because, I think what everybody goes through, everybody's just like, "Oh no, I don't have the right equipment. Oh no, I have a lot of different things going on. Oh no, like I don't really know what I'm doing." But it's better to just get started. And, I had somebody tell me probably around a year ago, because I've been posting consistently on TikTok and making progress, doing a lot of things and being more vulnerable and transparent than I ever thought that I would be. I had someone told me, a mutual told me last year, "Oh, you could just do the same thing on YouTube." And I was just like, okay. Like I heard what he had said, and then I was just kind of like, eh. And then it's like I had to spend a year, like, really getting back into YouTube, seeing what everyone else is doing, just enjoying and consuming content. And, I was just like, okay, I gotta just do it. I have to do it. So here we are. I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I know it's gonna take me a while for me to really get it and understand what I'm doing and have a system and a structure in place. But once again, you don't know if you don't start. Once again, welcome. I'm really excited to start and just to be yapping. I also have to make the switch in my mind because usually I'm doing the TikTok videos and I've gotten it down to where I'm not making videos longer than 3 minutes because I know the attention span over there is not there. But here, I can relax. I can breathe. I can, go deeper into things. And so once again, it's just going to be whatever's on my mind. It's the same format of what I do with TikTok. If I have something on my mind and I feel like I have something to say, or spirit has something for me to share, with the collective, with the massive, I will turn on my camera. Sometimes you'll hear my son in the background because that was another thing that kind of kept me from trying to do it because I'm like, oh no, he's making noise. He's a toddler and he is autistic, and either it's him stimming in the background or him playing with his toys or his shows on, but I'm not gonna let that stop me because this is real life and I'm a single mother, and navigating this life and trying to raise and nurture him the best way possible. I don't know if I said my name. My name is Angelica, by the way. I know sometimes people see my business name and they call me Irie. I don't mind it. Irie Yank is my business name. My name is Angelica. So hello, nice to meet everybody. So today, what I want to talk about is like the state of relationships right now. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. And I think, where I'm currently at right now in my life and all the things that have happened to me, they happened for a reason. going through the pain and the hurt and the struggle was necessary for me to learn and to transform. Not saying that you have to go through pain and struggles. I'm not saying that. Please don't misconstrue my words. But for me specifically, you know, especially as a big Scorpio, you know, 5 Scorpio stellium in the first house, transformation is a normal part of our daily life, you know, or if you have a lot of 8th house placements. Yeah, I feel like you know, I can go through something that's very, you know, traumatic, and it happens so quickly. It happens so quickly, and I get to reap so many lessons. I get to reap new pattern recognitions, you know, new patterns that I can recognize and be like, this is interesting. I'm very observant, I'm very analytical before I decide to move on to something. And I'm very aware, you know, of the fact that there are risks involved. There are risks involved in anything you do, but you cannot fear risk, because if you don't try to take the risk, you'll never know. That's listen, take heed. But I guess what I want to really say is, like, sometimes people are, and I think it's a lot of people, sometimes I think people are emotionally afraid, you know, specifically of being emotionally vulnerable with another person, and are too, like, they're operating off of their past experiences, their fears, their own personal insecurities that they have. And, you know, nobody's perfect. We're all flawed. And even if we overcome something, even if we do the work, there's still going to be issues that arise. And so at that point, you know, for example, let's say 2 people, right? They like each other, they decide that they're going to entertain each other. They, you know, energy is great. Energy is great, first off, you know what I mean? I know this word goes around a lot, which it does happen, but sometimes it's not necessarily that. But, you know, it could be some love bombing in the beginning, but a lot of times, sometimes it's just excitement and infatuation. Sometimes there's the lust part involved in it as well. But I think that there is just, a lot of people wear masks. That's the big thing. A lot of people are wearing masks. And within the mask that they're wearing, not only are they hiding who they really are, but that mask has a mirror. So what ends up happening is, you meet that person, or that person meets you, whoever it may be. It could be both parties as well, which then it really makes it very interesting to observe, I will say that. But what ends up happening is, you see yourself reflected back in that person. You see your, you know, your warmth, your love, your care, your generosity, your energy, your intellect sometimes too. If they're very crafty and know how to mirror intellect, emotional depth, you know what I mean? The list can go on depending on who you are as an individual and what you know about yourself and what you bring. So sometimes these people, they're wearing a mask. That mask has a mirror. And so what you think you're seeing, or what you think is in a person, is not really there. And usually time is going to tell. Time is going to tell. And let's go back to the point of where people are saying, I don't want to take the risk, or, oh no, what if something bad happens? Something bad could happen, but something good could happen. Let's not focus on the bad, let's focus on the good. If the bad does happen, you deal with it. You have to be sure that you know that you're going to be okay. You have to be sure that you know you're going to get out of it. I don't know why, like, yes, I'm not going to say that I don't think the worst could happen, because I've been through the worst. I've been through the worst, you feel me? And of course, there's different kind of worses, is that a word? There's different kind of degrees of bad things that could potentially go wrong. But, you know, I've been recently in the mindset of focusing on the positive things, and, you know, knowing that just because I'm a good person, just because I've healed, just because I've done the work that I'm supposed to do, doesn't mean that bad things can't still happen to me. That's there at the back of my mind, and I don't take it personal. It's just, unfortunately, a part of this human experience. We can't have one without the other. There's always the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. That is the human experience. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in the fact of everything's supposed to be sunshine and butterflies and rainbows, or whatever it is that you think is nice. But that's not the case. You feel me? But I guess I want to more so open up a discussion of, like, where do we where do we go? Because I feel like this point of where we're at in society, which late stage capitalism has a lot to do with how we navigate and operate during this time period. But, they say there's a male loneliness epidemic, and then, women are just being abstinent, which I am currently abstinent as well. I'm part of that crew. And, a lot more women are opting to not date. They're getting off the dating apps. I haven't been on the dating apps since I got banned from Tinder for, reasons I will not disclose here. But I don't even know what that world looks like. And I know I was at a point, which I will go more into this. I'm sorry, I'm kind of scatterbrained. I get really excited, if you can't tell, and I'm all over the place. After I had my son and I went through what I went through, I was kind of sworn off of dating. I said, no, I don't want to do it. Like, not until my son is 10. Like, I just don't have the patience, da, 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 da. And, it took my therapist and like a lot of other people to convey to me, hey, like, don't let that one experience keep you from getting the things that you want. Don't let that one bad experience keep you from receiving the love that you want or seeking the love that you want. And it took me a while to get there, but I have gotten there where I can allow people to approach me and entertain me. I've had a few in the past 2 years that just didn't go anywhere. I was okay with it. It still stings a little bit because as a Scorpio, I'm very loyal. I don't like to hop around too much. If I get emotionally invested, it's gonna take a lot to take me out of that. And I try to give multiple chances, but it's really, really difficult for me to kind of not be emotionally intense. And I know a lot of people can't manage that, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not like I'm clingy in the way, but I just want reciprocity. I want reciprocity and I want reverence and respect. Reciprocity, reverence, and respect. The 3 R's. I feel like there might be another R in there, but I can't remember. But yeah, I'm now in this position where, someone else has approached me and we connected immediately. Everything was great for about a week. Energy was 1 for 1, but that was that mirroring technique, you feel me? And I don't think it was necessarily, I don't know if people notice they're doing it intentionally, like if they're consciously aware of it or they just subconsciously do it. But the energy has shifted now. And my little Scorpio brain is like, well, I go on right now, because I understand why I go on. Everything was good now. Everything feel like it's just madness. Like it don't measure up. It don't make sense. You feel me? So I'm like, what is it that we can do to like open up this conversation and actually have, because it's really a problem, because I know I'm not the only one experiencing this. I've been watching different like videos and stuff on social media where people are talking exactly about this, where it's just like things are great and then it doesn't become great. And I know part of it is doing that inner self-work, but I'm like, what is influencing the lack of transparency between two people who are trying to get to know each other, to date, have a relationship, whatever it may be? What is making that connection get murky and muddy? And why is it so hard for people to be emotionally transparent, emotionally vulnerable? We all get hurt. We all, especially at my age, you know what I mean? I'm what, 32. Most people that I meet my age, we've already been stung by someone, hurt by someone. We've all experienced hurt, bad things in relationships. So at what point do you take control of the wheel and say, you know what? Okay, yes, I've been hurt. I learned my lesson with this. I learned this lesson on loyalty. I learned this lesson on, people wearing masks. I learned, you know what I mean? You have to actually, I don't think a lot of people do enough deep inner reflection to say, okay, now I'm trusting myself that if something like this happens, like I'm going to utilize my pattern recognition and be like, okay, I gotta go. Or even, I'm going to try to see how I can navigate this. Like taking accountability in the roles that you play as well, like even if it wasn't necessarily bad, but things that you could work on yourself, and being transparent with that. Like, where is the open conversation? Where is the concern, the courtesy, like for the next fellow human being? And I know, once again, I'm doubling down. I blame late stage capitalism. It's turned a lot of people into robots, into NPCs, into people just like unwilling to like let their emotions out, and it's spilling out into everything. And these personal relationships are important. They want us to be isolated, they want us to feel cold, they want us to feel numb, they want us to just not feel, really, to be honest. That's their intention. And once again, looking at it from a dating perspective, they're winning. Because there's a disconnect, and people are afraid to be emotionally vulnerable. People are afraid to have these conversations and to really look at their insides. Yes, it's raw. I be telling people, yo, this is not easy. It's raw, and it affects me. Anything that I do, it only looks easy because I did the work. You may not have seen the work in front of everybody, because honestly, if you're doing your own inner work, your own inner healing, nobody needs to see that. Nobody needs to see that, as long as you're actually doing the work. I think a lot of people say that they're doing the work, but they're not. But I know for me, I've actually done the work. Like, once again, where I was, and I was saying, oh, I am not trying to date. I'm not trying to, when I said that, I legit was working on myself. I legit was just like, okay, like, let me get myself together. Let me try to figure out what even happened. How did I get here? Why did I make that choice? What was I lacking that I was looking for? Or what I thought that I was looking for that I needed? You know what I mean? You have to really ask these questions. You always have to keep asking why until you get to the root. They'll ask why maybe twice, and then there's still like 10 more whys that they gotta ask. You feel me? Like, that's the type of inner work we gotta do. So I felt like this was kind of all over the place. I hope I made some sort of sense. I'm going to, once again, I apologize, but I will get better. Maybe I need to like write down like my bullet points of what I'm gonna say, but this is just like off the cuff, off of my mind. But yeah, welcome again to my channel. I can't wait to see, how this continues to grow and the community I get to build, because that's also important to me. I think right now in this day and age in social media, like, really building a true, authentic community is more important than anything else. I remember when they had like the follow trains on TikTok, and I was just like, this doesn't feel right, because like, I'm not gonna just follow somebody that's just like posting selfies, you know what I mean? Unless they're like really cute, curated, like, aesthetic type of, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be like, ooh, but like, if you just posting up selfies and there's no actually content, there's no like substance, like, I'm bored. And that's what a lot of social media is bored. And if you don't subscribe to the same sort of boredness, you're the one that's weird. You're the odd one for speaking your mind. You're the odd one for being transparent, honest, truthful, speaking your mind, utilizing your throat chakra, like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, like, we all have a voice. We all have different expressions of our, of our voice, of our style, of our I don't even know what else the word is, but I'm very, very excited to grow a community of like-minded people who, can, if you can't necessarily see things the way that I see it, but you're open to learning or discovering as well. And sometimes you don't see a lot of that. It's very cookie cutter. It's very, once again, and I know I use the word aesthetics, but like, I like style and fashion and like decor or whatever. I majored in design, so I have an appreciation for art and for culture and stuff. But there's just been this specific social media aesthetic that's just like, like, I don't like it. Like, I'm like, can we get some individuality? You know what I mean? Like, not saying that anybody has to be better than anybody, but like, I want to see like different. Like, I don't want to see the same thing all the time. I get very, very bored and very exhausted as well, because it's just it appears as surface level, but that's what's popular. So if you are usually the one who likes to go off the beaten track, you like things that are different, if you like, just being raw and truthful, and like, not having everything be aesthetically pleasing, not having everything be well thought out, like this video was kind of all over the place, but thank y'all for walking with me if you made it to the end here. welcome once again. Just welcome. I'm excited that I finally actually sat down, did it, and I'm gonna upload it this time because I think I recorded one video and then I never posted it. So welcome again, and thank you if you made it all the way to the end. Please like, subscribe, leave your comments below. I will try to remember to look into it. And yeah, this is so exciting. All right, I'm gonna go. Bye.